This media would bring high quality content, will bring diverse and internal pluralism.
The whole idea that we have as ADAMI Dialog is always to cross borders and not only borders in the direct sense.
I think we should at least start. And first of all, I want to thank all of you that you are participating in this idea. ADAMI Focus is quite a new idea that we always do it on Tuesday to have some kind of talk, some kind of topic on cultural diversity. And for you to follow us and also for the listeners right now out there, because it is a format where we only see each other who are right now in the webinar registered as panel participants. But I want to, of course, greet everybody else. And you can follow our talk in English and in Russian language, and you will also be able to ask questions. I first want to give the word to Geneva. And maybe, Radka, you can say a couple of words about the current situation. And I think there is an interesting program exchange as a reaction to the COVID crisis going on at EBU. So just that we have maybe a little beginning, a little start on what's happening on an international level of cooperation between the broadcasters.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stefan. Thank you, ADAMI, actually, for organizing this series of talks with prominent people. I think that we have shown big engagement also during these challenging times. I think now more than ever since the COVID crisis, we all have seen how important and indispensable public service media is for informing, educating, entertaining, and connecting with citizens. Public broadcasters in South Caucasus countries have been no exception to the, I would say, really exceptional efforts over the last 4 months. I think that all our broadcasters have changed schedules, have increased their news and current affairs, have launched educational programs and numerous creative activities in these unprecedented times. And we, of course, in the EBU, we also have first assessed the situation. We have immediately started reacting and creating online fora and meetings. I'd like to share with you a screen just to show you how many initiatives we have done. More than 11,000 COVID-related items, lives, edits, eyewitness, public service media have exchanged during these 4 months. We have launched also a content appeal where public broadcasters from all over Europe have exchanged items. It's a pity that Moldova and Ukraine have not joined us for the time being, because they are actually the greatest consumers of this content appeal. Moldova has used more than 103 hours and QAPTC more than 113 hours. I think Ictimai also has used a limited number of programs. I think 4 programs in 5 hours content. And this has shown really solidarity, but also collaboration, trust, strong partnerships between public service media. In these difficult times, we have also exchanged more than 500 concerts. I know for sure that some public service media were actually the only providers of culture during this time of confinement, during these challenging times. We have also ensured during this period where all the live sporting events were cancelled, we have ensured that some archive material from FIFA could be used by our broadcasters, and of course the famous Eurovision Song Contest, which this year was transformed in an online event, but still we have reached like um, 73 million audience. So I think that just to sum up before we start our talk, and I'm really very much looking forward to our talk. I think that the politicians have shown in these critical times not only very high level of responsibility and professionalism, but also their relevance, their indispensable role in the society, but also their agility. I mean, we will talk now during the talk what Armenia has done or what Ukraine has done. They have been a very innovative and creative approaches, and also in the area of and Georgia also in how you reach out to everyone, to different groups and different parts of the society. So I thank you very much again, Stefan and ADAMI, for organizing this this inspirational talk, and I look forward to our discussion.
Great. Okay. Radka, thanks for this little introduction about what's going on at the ABU. At the moment, we have the three South Caucasian countries with us, and I know I just returned on a flight to Germany at the moment. But I know that the situation is quite tough, also especially in Armenia and in Azerbaijan. I was just wondering, what kind of effect it has on the broadcasting situation, COVID-19. I know that some stations, or the first public broadcaster in Georgia, switched to a lot of educational programs and schooling programs. What kind of effects or did it have on cultural diversity issues? Because usually there are now a lot of current affairs issues. How is the situation at the moment also concerning the minorities in the countries in Armenia and in Azerbaijan? Maybe Armen, if you want to start, or Murat, just say a couple of sentences.
Yeah, so again, hello everyone. On March 1st, we had the first corona infection in Armenia, and then we had a complete lockdown to April 18. And then the government has decided to actually to eliminate this complete lockdown because of economy, because of people interacting, because of other small businesses to work. And we are getting worse and worse situation with this COVID. These last 3 days, we had around 400, 500 infections per day, and we already had around 500 deaths on COVID. Actually, what we are doing pretty much the same that other colleagues also described in EBU and in this community. We have launched TV educational programs. Actually, we invited school teachers to our TV, and they have started to conduct educational program, school educational program on TV. Besides that, we have launched a live show which was called Duty of the Day, and our actually our anchors used to be duty on air, so sharing information with people on COVID, and also organizing a lot of quizzes. We also had a competition of homemade soap opera that people would film in their own house, would edit and broadcast it on TV as a family soap opera. So we acted like an entertainment, and also put informational components into it. Our main responsibilities as public TV was also to broadcast briefings of the government live, so twice in a day. And now we have twice in a day briefings of the government on COVID situation and on different issues. And another thing is briefing of the Prime Minister himself. So he has a separate line on our TV that he organizes briefing after meeting on a governmental commission on COVID. What we do generally, besides all these things, is we are trying to keep the balance of information and public TV. We still keep our programs alive. We also have a lot of, as for ADAMI philosophy, we have our show on national minorities in Armenia, which is broadcast weekly on Armenian public TV. We keep pretty much all the same. I mean, we didn't shut down any project actually. We have 750 people working here. We organize shifts on these people, not to meet them very much on another, but we didn't shut down any project so far. Even our newscast still remains live 5 times a day, and our shows also. Of course, the topic differs a little bit, but we do not have any lack of any project that we did before.
Your own show is also running. I mean, you had this own show that was dealing with diversity issues as well. Is it still running and you are doing it?
Yes, all shows are running. We are doing an emergency check everywhere. Like, and we are using masks even on anchors. We are making all the needed arrangements of security and of safety, etc. So far we do not have any show, any program that is missed before COVID. The only one is my show, which I became very busy with this situation, that I became the acting executive director. So I have to close this. It's a weekly political talk show. I have to close this to run the management. The rest is still there. So the programming is running.
Okay, Armen, thank you so much. I just see that Veaceslav is with us from Moldova. Привет, я думаю, что вы слышите нас, да?
Hello, I think you can hear us. Am I right? Hello from ADAMI. I'm happy that you're here with us today.
Nelly, I think you... Все слышите на русском или вы только слышите?
You can hear everything in English or in Russian. Can you hear us in Russian? Yes, I hear it in Russian, although I understand English as well. Is it better to? I've turned on my the Russian channel. Okay, then everything is fine. Thank you for being with us here today. I'm very happy.
Switch to my English because my Russian is really not that good that I want to use it too much. But I wanted to ask Murat in Azerbaijan, because I hear that also some broadcasters in Azerbaijan are quite affected by COVID at the moment. How is the situation, the Ictimai and in your program in Azerbaijan?
Starting with the quarantine, our work has become a bit different. Initially, with the closure of many sites and the lockdown decision, when people had to send an SMS to leave their house, we have begun broadcasting many educational programs having to do with COVID. These were problems, social videos encouraging the populace to keep the quarantine rules. We also explained to people what COVID is and so forth, because at the time, at the end of February and beginning of March, there was very little information about this. Along with this, we kept our program schedule and tried to have our programs, be related to current events. And of course, there were a lot of fun programs because people were sitting at home and psychologically couldn't handle too much information about the pandemic. We tried to keep a balance. And then once the lockdown measures were lifted, we continued informing the populace, informing people, and tried to avoid losing any of our viewers. Now, once again, we have an SMS type lockdown where people have to send an SMS to leave their house. And we have roughly 500 new cases per day. More and more people have recovered from COVID, thankfully. We have roughly 400 people recovering per day, and we're adapting to this. We inform viewers, we give them information, and we broadcast all press conferences of the general of the headquarters relating to COVID. As for ethnic minorities, no changes have taken place. We had a show called Azerbaijan is Our Homeland, and talked about 42 national ethnic minorities residing in Azerbaijan. That program is continuing. We also have documentaries about these people, how they live and what their life is like today. There are certain problems or difficulties having to do with the lockdown and the quarantine, of course. But as for your question, how has COVID-19 affected the situation with broadcasting in Azerbaijan? Of course, like everywhere in the world, there's an economic downturn, there's less production, but how large is this drop? It's still too early to say how large or permanent this drop in production will be.
In our discussion, because I think in the three Caucasian countries, we do have quite a few minorities that do not speak the language, really the main broadcaster language. Georgia is one of these examples, and they do have service also in Armenian and in Azeri language at GPB. So, George, Georgi, can you maybe say a couple of words if you're still there? I don't see you. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can see and hear you.
Okay. Okay. So, so thank you so much for inviting me, first of all, and greetings to all of you. You see, if we are talking about the pandemic period, it was, of course, for us as well, a very, how to say, the very tough time. And despite the success with the fighting coronavirus within our country, today we have 958 cases, of which 838 are recovered already. So in that case, we're doing so far, we're doing good with fighting with the pandemic. But anyway, for the public broadcaster, it was a tough time. We had the quarantine zones in countries, so our journalists were covering the stories from this quarantine zone. And actually, one of the problematic zones regarding the pandemic was the Marne, which is populated by Azerbaijani people. Actually it was the closed zone, and just a public broadcaster was broadcasting from the region. I'm talking about the nationwide media, because there are some local media which were also broadcasting or providing some information from the region, but from the national broadcasters, we were the only one in the region. But since that time, there's some kind of after some kind of shutdowns or lockdowns, we already organized it. It was actually the project which was actually organized before the pandemic, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, it was somehow postponed. And if I'm not mistaken, the last week we have already finished the project. It was the project was called My Georgian Language. The aim of the project was the population with the language of the Georgian language, actually. And it was kind of game for the school children from Azerbaijani community, from Armenian community, and other communities where the Georgian language is not really very well learned. And it was kind of it was successful project. More than 200 children were participated in this project, if I'm not mistaken, even a little bit more. And finally we have, but unfortunately it was the project was it was conducted online, not offline, not with people, not tete-a-tete, because of the pandemic, of course. And of course, and since the end of the May, we are calling that we started the new season in the end of the May, because of the pandemic, a lot of programs were stopped during the pandemic, and we relaunched some programs in the end of the May. So probably we will be on a full summer, especially in the politics, because we have elections in October, parliamentary elections, which are very important. And this is actually the big picture, but maybe if there are some, Stefan, if there's some particular questions, maybe it would be better to ask me, and I'll try to answer.
Sure.
I do not have a question, but I have really a comment to our Georgian colleagues, because what they have done is really amazing. They have created a polyphonic musical message to the world.
Yes, we did.
It was translated in 40, the message was in 40 languages, and it went out Easter time. I think that this is par excellence a fantastic example of.
Thank you so much, Radka, for reminding me this very, very interesting project. Thank you so much.
I think that this was just amazing. I mean, even now I hear these fantastic Georgian voices, and it was beautifully done. Your picture was very prominent, very well to see.
Yeah.
but I think that this was an excellent example of creativity, responsiveness, relevance, and also connecting with all people in different languages. So really, you deserve all credit and congratulations for this.
Thank you so much, Radka. Thank you so much.
I just want to include Veaceslav in our discussion. Veaceslav, you have seen or you've heard that in Georgia there seems to a lot of things have been stopped. Armen and Murat said that most of the programs continued during the crisis. How is the situation in Moldova? How did TRM react, and has any effect on the polling, especially I'm thinking about the Gagauz television, about Bulgarian minorities, because you also broadcast in different languages and have to work in your broadcasting with different interests.
Hello, I'm happy to be here. This is the first time I'm participating in this type of meeting in Zoom, and so I was a bit late. I apologize. Our situation in Moldova is quite complicated. After the first few weeks, things seem to be going well, but then we opened the economy back again, and we saw a lot of new COVID cases. So from the very first days of the crisis, we changed our broadcasting, and many of our programs we halted, about 50% of them. And this, of course, affected many people. We left the other programs, and we broadcast a lot of official information because we don't want people to get information from the wrong sources. Of course, there are many people who would like to explain what's happening in a different manner, and that's why we broadcast official information with official numbers. As for programs dealing with the ethnic minorities, we have programs in different languages, and we have Svetanok in Ukrainian, Russian, Ruski Mir in Russian. We have a program in Ukrainian, Bulgarian, and Roma as well. Our country has so many different ethnic groups. For instance, after the recent after recent polls, 50% of the populace said they were Moldovans, 7% said Romanians, and these other groups gained from 5 to 7% each. And this, the situation is difficult, especially with the Roma people. This is an issue all over Europe. When I know last year, there was a program about the Roma, and among the Roma people, there were many sick with COVID, and their town was locked down, was closed down. Now things are a bit better. People who run these programs in different languages tend to be quite elderly. We're starting to repeat some of the programs that have already aired. And after this, we hope to return to our normal broadcasting schedule, and we're doing all we can to do this. This means working from home, working at a distance as much as possible. We have our correspondents in different regions, and they're busy. But some towns and villages are closed off, and so our journalists use the phone and other means of communication. There are other programs in Russian and so forth. For example, news. We have news several times a day, and there are programs. Free Europe programs. Quite a few programs from Monday to Saturday, several hours of this a year. We also have other programs running in Russian, and so we have a lot of information in Russian, both local European information. As for other languages, we have central programs. For example, in Romanian, there's quite a bit. Every week we have programs for Bulgarians, Ukrainians, Russians, and other ethnic groups. And for Roma, we even have a program for Belarusians that we broadcast ourselves, because we have a certain small amount of Belarusians, and we are open to all groups and all programs. We have other programs more oriented towards Orthodox believers who form the majority of the population. There are different different stores and
Thank you
opportunities
so much.
for others.
Stefan, if I may, I would like to ask Veaceslav one question.
Sure, exactly, please.
Veaceslav, I know that we are now, or you have done tremendous efforts during these challenging times. You have increased your viewership and also the trust of the people. But we also all know that now we are stepping in a different phase.
I can barely hear her. Очень плохо.
I'm trying to write my question, but it's freezing. So I would ask you: do you expect now in the time of after COVID, in the financial difficulties we are going to experience, do you envisage some problems in serving different groups and different minorities and providing programs for these different minorities in these restrictive measures?
We don't foresee any problems because we have a clear method for working. We work in 17 different regions with different ethnic minorities. After COVID, we think that everything will return to normal, but we don't know how soon that will happen because we have roughly 200, 300 new cases per day, and there used to be far fewer. So we have something like 16,000 cases, and many of those have recovered, but we're not in a hurry to open everything up. It's hard to predict how long this will take.
But you're not expecting financial difficulties like the government to cut your budget and then to differently prioritize your content in your programs.
We have fears of this, but there have been no specific discussions about this. Our salaries are paid on time. That's a priority for all of us because we need to keep the collective together. Many people have gone on leave. They're on paid leave for now, thankfully, and many of our workers have taken this leave. And of course, there are risks that, well, these programs have been halted for now, and our country is not wealthy, so there are risks. As for ethnic minorities, I don't see problems because we have people, we have correspondents, and we continue covering these issues. There may be organizational problems. We have some festivals and so forth focused on diasporas and ethnic minorities, and I don't think this will be a big problem, but the issue is simply that people can't get together in public places in large numbers. But stores and stores are working, are operating. But of course, nightclubs and sports facilities are not. People have to wear masks and so forth. So we don't foresee serious problems for now.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to open up the discussion a little bit. I'm really wondering about all the broadcasters we have seen, or you just were talking about the Roma town in Moldova that had a total lockdown. We had Giorgi was referring to the situation in the Azeri majority living in Mani Uli district. And this is a question to all four of you. Were the minorities in this emergency situation a little bit disadvantaged so that first information about COVID was always given in their main language of the country, and that maybe minorities did not get or did not understand the information in time, that they just got the information a little bit later or something like that? was there a difference in reacting and the difficulties in broadcasting as well in different languages? How did you experience the situation, giving the information at the same time to minorities as to the majorities in your four countries? Murat? Yeah, sure.
У нас такой проблемы не будет,
We
потому что
will not have this problem because all the ethnic minorities of Azerbaijan have command of the Azeri language because schooling is conducted in Azeri along with their native languages, and so we will not have this problem. This is a centuries-long tradition. Almost everyone speaks Azeri. Aside from this, we have other ways of covering different events through internet, through our Facebook channel, and so forth. So Azerbaijan will not have this issue. Ethnic minorities are suffering to the same degree as the Azeri-speaking peoples. And also, I would add that fortunately, or maybe it's just a coincidence, but the COVID pandemic has not affected ethnic minorities, regions where ethnic minorities tend to live.
Armen, you have a quite homogenic society, but still you have also minorities. Is it the same?
I would like to talk about one aspect of my situation of minorities in during this COVID pandemic. You know, we have Yazidi minorities in Armenia, around 40,000 people, and they mostly live in compact living places like the big villages, and they are populated with all Yazidi minorities. I mean, there are not these kind of mixed communities, and we would like to we mostly pay attention to their access to medical facilities during this pandemic, which is very important. This morning, the Minister of Health of Armenia, he had we asked a question on how these people have, what is the level of access of Yazidi population to health facilities, because this is summer and there is a huge amount of agricultural work that all people living in rural areas in Armenia, the Armenians and other minorities do, and it's very hard to have right access to medical facilities. And there are some latest researches done by UN that usually in the world the minorities in most countries that live compact in their villages or communities, usually they have a lack of access to medical facilities, and this is an issue that we have to keep in mind while covering the pandemic in general in Armenia. As for the language, we do not have this. Actually, we do not have this problem, because the minorities in Armenia, they speak Armenian. Besides, but we have one exception. It's the new formed Iranian community in Armenia. Those are these Iranian students, Iranian businessmen. Armenia becomes a country of interest for Iranians, and this Iranian community, they do not speak Armenian, and this may become an issue for them. but we do not have this, you know, this kind of registered cases of what I'm talking about. But the access to medical facilities for national minorities is a thing that we have to pay attention, and we also have to cover and to show the government of the possible problems that these people may have.
Giorgi, how do you see the information gap in Maniuli? Was there an information gap, or were they well informed all the time?
I don't have a feeling that right now we have an information gap, but the pandemic is in its, you know, the pandemic rages in Armenia. We have to keep this in mind and to have this in our news agenda, to be sure that people who are out for their agricultural work are quite informed about the norms of the government, the regulations of the government. This is the first thing. And then the second thing is that these people have quite right access to the medical facilities, to all treatment policy that the government set for the population.
So, Stefan.
Okay, now I hear you. Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah. So actually, despite we were translating all the information from the very beginning, as you might know, that we have some kind of problems about the informing the population in these regions, because a lot of people in the regions are using as the main information sources the media outlets from abroad of Georgia. Actually, in the region where mostly the Azerbaijani people are living, they are mostly using the Azerbaijani media outlets or Turkish media outlets, and on the other hand, is in the regions where Armenians are living, they are mostly using the Armenian media or Russian media outlets. So they had, I suppose they had a very mixed information about the pandemic, because the picture in other countries, our neighbor countries, they are different. So this kind of problem within this community from the very beginning existed. So there were some groups of media or organizations or individuals which were providing the different kind of information to these communities. And I don't know what is the case of the investigation, but there is an investigation ongoing within the internal ministry about the circumstances in Marneuli region, because they are talking about, they have an investigation about that some groups were trying to manipulate with some information and manipulate it with people or something like that. This is actually a complicated issue. NGOs are against this investigation, but let's see. I mean, the investigation is ongoing. And the main issue is kind of disinformation inside the region and organizing the protests against the measures that government get inside the quarantine zones and so on. So this was the issue. But again, I have to repeat that we were translating all the information, what was all the crucial information, what was broadcasted in Georgia on both of these languages.
I think it's an amazing job, because I mean, it's so difficult. If you have so many minorities in different languages who do not speak your main language, it's quite difficult. We do have a question right now coming in concerning the minorities in Moldova, whether they're was some hate towards the Roman minority in Moldova and how the media reacted to it. I think it's really, of course, always when something like this happens, an emergency situation, and you have a minority where you have a lot of corona cases, it's very difficult for the media to react. So how did Teleradio Moldova deal with this issue? Because I think it's quite a task to have the right balance in dealing with this.
It's not just the town of the Roma. There's a whole region of Roma where the coronavirus levels were the same as the rest of the country. It's just a particular town where more Romas lived. I don't see any problems currently. The situation with Roma is difficult all around Europe, of course. We have our questions, but there aren't many Romas in power, in positions of power and influence, and those who represent the Roma people. But I don't see any particular problems. We haven't had protests, for example, but the locals were upset about the fines they had to pay for not keeping the quarantine rules. And so as for mass media, we don't see any particular difference. Haven't seen any particular protests. In Romania, there were big problems, but in our country, things are quite calm. There were some protests having to do with that parts of the economy were opened up, for example, outdoor markets. It's very hard for people to sit at home for 2 months, but they have to get outside eventually, and there were some difficulties relating to this.
Stefan, if I may, I have a question to all participants. I know that during the time of confinement, some public service media have introduced religious programs due to the fact that people were not able to go to their to the religious institution. I know that some members had big success, some members didn't have so much experience. I would be interested to hear from Georgi Gvimradze. Did you consider it, and what was your experience with this consideration?
I can answer first.
Yeah.
I can answer first. We continually have large religious events on radio and TV, and so our public TV channels show church services, and so everything's working as described.
Thank you. Giorgi?
Anybody else wants to add something to the question from Radka concerning the special editions or what has been done in religious programs? Murat, you also have a question, I think. Murat, you also wanted to ask something, so maybe you just continue.
Давайте. У нас часть карантинного режима.
Part of the quarantine and lockdown coincided with Ramadan, the month of fasting. And during this time, we gave broadcasted information about the beginning of the fast, the end of the fast, prayers that needed to be said on this or that day of the fast. And there's also a program called Religion and Society. In this program, we covered information and covered events relating not just to Islam and Islamic holidays, but also what's happening in Christian communities and also in the Jewish community. As for conducting church services or mass prayers through TV, we don't have this practice in Islam at all, and so it would be unrealistic to expect that something like this would appear during this time. And since Islam is the main religion of the country, there were no mass events, mass religious events shown on TV, but the populace was informed about different religious events and celebrations and so forth.
Thank you.
Okay. If nobody else wants to answer to that, I just wanted to use the chance by seeing what you have been telling us, that we at ADAMI, we are considering to give a special prize this year for the best news broadcast on COVID-19, on minorities. And seeing really what you have been telling me about, if I'm talking about, Armen was talking about the Yazidi minority, Murad was talking that you still had ongoing the religion and society program. From Moldova, we have heard the story about the Roma. From Georgi, we had the story about Mani Uli. So in all the countries, there have been news broadcasts definitely related to COVID-19. And I think it's very important also for the future to have this documented, what broadcasters have been shown at this time. And maybe there has been an interesting way of telling a little story. And this is why this year in ADAMI, we want to also add this as a special prize to our categories. So I really want to encourage all of you, and of course not only you, everybody listening to us, all the broadcasters, to really look through their broadcasts of the last months. And maybe there was really a good research or a very well journalistic piece, very short one, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, which we can share internationally so that we keep this and that it's not lost for the future, as this is one of the main ADAMI ideas, of course. And Nelly, maybe you can just show for us at the moment, I just want to remind everybody present that we have the deadline next week for the ADAMI Media Prize. And I just want again to give you only the TV categories just in mind, because it's one more week to go and it's about really everything that has been broadcasted on minority issues within the last year or since our last gala. So all of 2019 and now in 2020. And we have 3 categories. The first one is entertainment. So it's fiction, it's all TV shows that you might have done, not only Corona situated, really on everything that deals with cultural diversity issues, with minority issues. It can be a small fiction, it can be a long fiction, it can be a TV serial. Some of you already have entered for this category, but most broadcasters from you have not entered yet. So maybe you have some entertainment programs, some TV series that can participate in this. The second category, of course, is the traditional one, which we have the information and non-fiction. So these are really reportage. We are expecting and we are seeing this quite interesting topics. I look a little bit through the entries. We have an interesting one, for example, from Georgia about a mixed Georgian Armenian couple that are building up a circus. But in all the countries, definitely this is for the long format. And the third one, where I have not seen any entries from the 4 broadcasters which are here with us today, is the news and the short fiction. So, short non-fiction. So it's really the category where we broadcast the most in all the 6 countries. And if there was some kind of an interesting original broadcast about a minority in the morning show, in the lunch break, or in the evening shows, please look for it and send it to ADAMI that it won't get lost. And as said, this year there will be a special award for the best minority coverage during COVID-19 in the Eastern Partnership countries. And of course, I hope that maybe one of the public broadcasters will get this prize this year. And we have, of course, Nelly, you can maybe show, just to complete the categories which we have. We do have, of course, the online categories, which is the online website and the web video. So this is a more open category, not only to broadcasters, and everybody working in the broadcasters or who are students up to 20 years old can participate with whatever format they have if it deals with minority. This just as an in-between. Thanks, Nelly, for letting us see this. I really hope, I think just to see you at a gala. We are hoping to have the gala this year in Tbilisi, if it's not online. So far, we are still planning on really having it physically to see you guys and to join at least for the gala. We don't know yet what we exactly will do with the jury session, but we hope that we won't have a second wave here. But what do you at the moment, to get back to our discussion round, what are the next steps? What are the next projects or the things that you might send us with ADAMI? What will you share with the international community? I hope we will see the music show that Radka was talking about from Georgia. But I also really am very interested, Armen, you were talking about several topics that you have been working on. And Morad also said that the program has not been stopped and it was going on. So do you think of anything right now that you think is right now quite an interesting project on minorities that you also will send to ADAMI next week?
I think we have prepared a package for ADAMI. I have to check. I had this conversation this morning. I think we have sent for some categories, but I was thinking of one piece of live coverage of minority issues on news. Actually, what we had Yazidi religious event, and we just made a live coverage of this event. I don't know if this fits to one of any categories, because during this pandemic we have joined live to a Yazidi family, and they explained how they celebrate their certain celebration and what are the symbols of their religional celebration. We showed their family, we showed what they prepare, etc. And this is all was actually live. If there wasn't pandemic, we would, of course, they would host us, we would go there, we'd make a nice show of it, etc. But what we did is that the anchors joined from studio directly to this Yazidi family and made a coverage of it, and of course congratulated them, etc., etc. I don't know if this fits to any category, but I would ask my colleagues to cut this, actually the certain part, and we'll see in which category we may fit it. I mean, if this will be accepted as a live coverage of my minority event.
I mean, you all broadcasters had to react in this emergency situation, and I think live coverage is a very important part of broadcasting. So definitely, this should be definitely send it in, Armen. And as said, we will have a special prize this year. So please, if any of you has this kind of material recorded or somewhere, please provide it, because I think it's so important to discuss these issues.
If you would allow me, I would really like to encourage Armen, because Armenian television has been so creative during the COVID crisis. He is really humble, but they have now for the Easter celebration, normally people would go to their beautiful place. Please excuse me, I forgot just now the name. It's a very beautiful place where Orthodox people go, and they were not able to go to this place on Easter time, and they have done extraordinary live events. So Armen, please feel free really to share these beautiful pieces, because as Stefan said, live events are very important, but also you have reached out to so many people in your country in such a critical time.
Sure. Yeah, we had this. We also had this. Actually, what we do these days, actually, the whole Armenian TV is live. I mean, we had 11 live broadcasts a day. The whole TV actually works on live. And people are also. This makes also people to work hard. This makes also people to interact a lot, because we have this. We are always live. I mean, even the when the government checks the restaurants or shops or supermarkets, how they keep the rules and regulations, etc., we switch to live. I mean, all Armenian television now is working on live broadcast, and this is a great actually school for our journalists, for our experts, etc. And now I also see that we are making that all the live, starting from political events to government coverage, to even concerts, to everything, to all the religious events. We all are making this live, which is also a very good experience for us.
Who wants to join, Murat? Giorgi?
Мы с удовольствием примем участие и пошлем
We
свои.
will be happy to participate, and we'll send our work for the ADAMI Media Prize, and we plan to send you one of our films about ethnic minorities. We plan to send you a movie about the coronavirus in Azerbaijan. We have filmed quite a good film on coronavirus. We plan in the news segment. We plan to send you a kind of reportage from a hospital where coronavirus patients are kept, and this program is about what the patients are experiencing and how doctors are working. We also have we need to agree on what we're going to send to you, and we're going to work on this together and hope to see you physically in Tbilisi and not just online.
I really hope, Murat. And but always remember, ADAMI always has to have the minority issue is for us important. So there are good films, of course, out. Of course, ADAMI is about cultural diversity, so it always has to have the connection to cultural diversity. Giorgi, anything that you can think of when we are right now doing brainstorming what has been broadcast in the last month?
To be honest, I'm not ready to answer this question right now. I have to talk to our colleagues and send actually, and what we can do. Because I was doing another stuff this recent weeks, so maybe there is already some kind of pieces. I don't know. Tinatin was on vacation, and I could not meet with her to discuss what is our preparation for that. Sorry, but we will let you know about our projects.
I think we'll publish it in the next days, also a little bit to give a little bit maybe information about it, that we do a special, that we're really looking for news broadcasts, what especially has been done for COVID-19, because I think it's a very special year for all broadcasters and all over the world, and especially also in our 6 countries. So I think we should react to that. And what do you think? I know you are mainly a radio man. and you have to deal with TV at the moment with us. But Veaceslav, what's the situation in TRM? Anything that you know in the news, for example, on the Roma issue that might be interesting for us to keep and to send to ADAMI?
У нас есть проект Радио ТВ, конечно. Мы не совсем концентрируемся только на ромах, потому что у нас...
We don't concentrate so much on the Roma because we have other ethnic minorities as well. Not everyone speaks the official language. At the same time, we have many programs in Russian, and of course we inform the populace. We have regional and national programs in Romanian, in Russian, and other languages. We have a special radio station for Roma as well. So this sector is quite developed. As for public channels, there are many programs about this situation. Talking about what these people have been through. We have programs about how these people are managing the situation, living together in large numbers in one home, for example. There are programs showing famous people, celebrities of the Roma group, and how they're dealing with the corona situation at home. We have some psychologists as well. There are many, many programs, and together with my colleagues, we're going to look through all our materials and participate in this prestigious competition as much as possible.
I mean, it would be great. I mean, Moldova is an important partner country for the ADAMI Media Prize, and you already have won a couple of ADAMI Media Prizes. But I think really in the news category, in what we just were talking about today, we haven't seen much yet from Moldova. So I will be very happy if you
I'll tell my colleagues. Sorry. I'll tell my colleagues so that we can submit some more materials for that category.
And I think some questions. Sign on X.
Я включила, да. Сейчас слышно?
Can you hear me now? So we have questions, and the first question.
Hello?
The connection is becoming really bad.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Natia Montgomery. I am a founder of Food TV Georgia. That's a television cooking program, cable television channel. And I have one question, please. I welcome you all. I'd like to meet you personally when you've been to Tbilisi. And besides, we've been through difficult times because of this coronavirus. But now I think it's a time to watch cooking channel and nice, delicious food, right? Because people staying home, and that's the one activity what they can do there home. So. And what I'm looking for is to have a network with
Не слышно сейчас?
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear.
and we can share some cooking videos, let's say Georgian food or any other country's food. We can share between the airtime, and I can broadcast on a channel, for example, Moldavian food or Azerbaijan food or Armenian food, because we have lots of communities, minorities here in Georgia, living all kinds of nationalities, and I'll be happy to broadcast such kind with cultural diversity programs on our channel regarding food. And vice versa, so we can share with you the Georgian food, and that will be very interesting touch, especially in this pandemic situation. Second, my question is not question, but kind of a looking for networking with you to do co-production TV series. Because we have right now we have a very good script of a series, which is which includes like a different nationality there, and it's after pandemic situation there in a script, and very well describes the friendship and like confidence building between nations. So it's like a boosts the relationship and boosts such kind cultural relationship between. And I'm looking for co-production with any country, let's say Ukraine or Belarus or Armenia or Azerbaijan, whoever is having a desire. And I'm open for any negotiation, any relationship, so wherever will take. So
Nadia, thanks a lot. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Yes, okay. Nadia, thanks a lot. I really hope you participate with what you have been doing, because I think ADAMI is a wonderful platform to really to get to know these people at our events. Not only now the 4 broadcasters that are present today, but really also producers, co-producers in other countries, and many channels, also cooking shows. One time even a cooking show from Belarus won or got a nomination for an ADAMI prize. So please definitely be part of the ADAMI events. And I think it's a very interesting idea, instead of spreading the virus, spreading the recipes and spreading the food. So
right.
Does anybody want to answer at the moment already to Nadia on that idea? Or should we just meet her in Tbilisi when we have the event?
If you let me, I will just say this is actually my favorite part. We have actually 2 cooking shows on Armenian TV, and one is live. In the morning, we did the morning show. We do live cooking, and another one, if you let me, I will just send you the link for Nadia. This is a long time proved cooking show on Armenian TV, and just look through it and see if this suits to the standards, or if this is okay for starting the cooperation. I have just copied the link to the chat panel. See if this is okay, so we can go further. And yeah. Thank you.
Armen, if I may, are you now back to food production? It's a question to all of you, because we know that there were restrictions during the COVID crisis, and I mean, many broadcasters could not make live shows where they invite guests in the studio, and there were many productions put on hold. Are you now, all of you, back to more or less normal production capacities and production schedules?
Yes, we are actually. We do all kinds of measurements of fever wherever our employees come to the job, and we use those masks as everybody. And of course, that's no problem. And we do distance, and our studios are very well equipped, and kind of yes, no problem with that. Mm-hmm. Yes.
The
Okay,
other
anybody else?
broadcasters, Armen, how is it in Armenian television? How is it in Ictimai and in Georgian? Are you back to full productions?
Yes, we
Yes.
also use we also use masks. We reduced the number of guests of the shows. Actually, we renovated the recording studios and actually the decoration, which fits to people for social distancing. And yeah, we gradually are back. Actually, we even didn't actually close any show, but we made the needed arrangements, restrictions of the government of gatherings of people, 20 people in one closed territory. We also use a lot of masks. We also our company also produces masks. Actually, we do not let our people, our employees, to buy masks from which also cost money. So we also have we launched a small production of masks here on Armenian public TV, and we deliver this to our employees, etc. And we are fully back to production. But we have one issue, which I think is issue for all of the broadcasters. We are now launching production of our TV series, these serials, and a lot of we are now facing problems of how do we treat with the actors, how we can put masks on these actors on this TV series, and how we can make a production. This is not only for aesthetic view, but also we very much worry of their health, because this will be a combination of shooting, filming, etc. And we are still thinking of how we can go on. We always produce films and TV series on motifs of Armenian classical writers, and now we face this problem, and we have to think about this, what to do.
And Armen, talking about money, are you fearing that there'll be cut in the budget, which has to change your priorities in program making, which programs, and cut some programs, and this may affect the programs of cultural diversity as well?
Well, fortunately unfortunately, this last month, the Parliament of Armenia gave us back the right of broadcasting advertisement. This is only the 5 years the Armenian public TV had no right of advertisement, of commercial advertisement, according to the law. But this June, the government gave us back the right of commercial activity, and of course we lost a lot of contracting tenders from the beginning of the year, but we are now working hard. We are forming a sales house, and we hope to compensate a lot of cuts on the budget on this advertisement money.
Okay, is there anybody else who wants to answer to Radka, to that comment, Murat or Giorgi? Veaceslav, okay. Then I just have a question. Are there any more questions? We have people listening from all the 6 countries, from Ukraine, from Belarus as well. Is there any question that you have on to somebody from our panel?
Да, есть вопросы с Украины.
There's a question from Ukraine, from Christina. We are listening to you. Please ask your question, Christina.
Do you hear me? Yes. I would like to ask, because as a journalist, I know that mostly we're doing what the editors are telling us. For example, some issue about politician, or now about COVID. But how you are supporting your journalists to do materials about cultural diversity?
So, Christina, so the question was how they support journalists with their material.
Yes.
Can you specify?
Do you hear me?
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How you're supporting journalists in your countries, like in your companies, to make new materials about cultural diversities, not only about the same subjects, yes, but about some different.
Mm-hmm. Anybody who can take on that question?
Actually, what we did last year and what we are planning this year, hopefully, we have launched a public competition of projects that people can apply by their projects to Armenian public TV, and this project can be financed, can be covered by state budget to be broadcast on public TV. This means that actually directly the government, the public TV gives grants to groups, to organizations that want to share their to share their say to the Armenian community. And the one of the winners was a consortium of organizations of people with disabilities, and they have got the grant of public TV, and now they are launching 16 documentary films about people with disabilities. There are actually so this is actually their view towards their problems and towards their activities, and this is actually one of the successful projects that we have covered. And this means that Armenian public TV pays all the expenses for production of these 16 documentaries, and not the expenses, I mean these people also receive honorariums for the production, and for this competition. Due to this competition, we have just boosted the actually the tradition of other groups, diverse group to apply for their projects to Armenian public TV.
Any similar things in one of the other countries? Moldova, Azerbaijan, Georgia. Yeah, Murad? Nelly? Murad must be switched on. Murad wanted to say something, Nelly. Can you switch him on? Sound?
Вы меня слышите?
Да.
Да.
Can you hear me? Wonderful. Every year, during the entire season, we collect synopsis for different projects, mainly documentaries from different groups and authors. And the projects and synopsises that are approved, we have a work agreement with these with the chosen ones, and we have roughly 10 chosen each year. And public broadcasters pay for their work and help them in every way in producing these materials. That is our role in, and we're also interested in this because our aim is to create products of the highest quality and have diverse cultural programs.
Пожалуйста.
Thank you.
I think Radka wanted to say something, right?
No, I'm listening. I was expecting that maybe George Gvimradze would also share the Georgian experience.
Great pleasure. If I'm not mistaken, Christina's question was about how we are supporting our journalists covering the different kind of stories regarding the cultural diversity. So we have some, actually we have some projects which are aimed to cover or to present some kind of cultural diversity. But supporting the journalists, I don't know what kind of particular issues it mean, but maybe we can speak about some intellectual support or kind of or supporting their travelings and so on. I don't know what could be done in regards of supporting journalists to cover the stories about the cultural diversity. Maybe Christina can specify the question, or what kind of support does she means about this supporting the journalists, because there are many ways to support them. I mean, to discuss with them the issue, to help them with the expertise in the cultural diversity, to help them with kind of specific contacts and so on and so on. What is actually the issue, and what is actually the job of the producers and editors, or even our analytical group. We have, as you might know, we have the analytical department in our organization, which are supporting all the journalists with the expertise in different fields.
I will tell maybe, first of all, it's not about money, yes, because if
yeah, definitely, of course. Christina, we can't hear you.
Christina, we cannot hear you.
You're muted, Christina.
Now you hear me.
Now it's okay.
First of all, I was interesting, or you are inspiring, like, or you are supporting, you tell to your journalists, like, hey, let's do about this. We don't have to talk only about the same. For example, in Georgia, you don't have to talk only about Azerbaijan people from Iran or somebody, but maybe about Spanish people who are living here, something like that. So I was interested, or you have some ideas, and you try to tell to your journalists. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think that it's my point of view that the best support is to give them the opportunity to find their interesting stories they'd like to cover. Because yes, of course, sometimes we tell them what to do and how to do, and this is the case actually on the routine and the daily basis. Of course, this is kind of agenda, and we are covering that, we are doing that. But we are talking about the weekly programs, or I mean, the creative programs or something like that. The best support is actually the freedom of acting. When they're coming with a good idea, and then to help them to realize this good idea actually. And of course, the diversity of the product is also very crucial and important in that case. And to find the different kind of stories, not the same at every time, of course, and not the kind of the issues that are covered by everyone or every other media outlet or something like that. And of course, to find a good story. But this is the crucial, to let them find their own story, because if the journalist is always working on the issues that he or she is given by the editors, finally the product is not so qualitative or high quality as we are expecting from that.
Thank you so much.
I don't know how much I satisfied your question.
Yes, I understood.
I just wanted to, because I think we should get to a close, because we are, thank you so much for your time, and we have almost 1.5 hours now in our talk. But I just wanted, because there is a last question coming up here in the chat about corporations. Are there any corporations at the moment going on between the broadcasters, maybe that have to do with cultural diversity, maybe a TV series, maybe anything is being planned between the countries? And Radka, I know that also EBU has some special programs that really for exchange of programs. And there are some broadcasters taking part from our region?
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. As I mentioned at the beginning, there is a content appeal initiative from our TV media team, TV media team at the EBU. And I know that Ictimai, TRN, and UAPBC from Ukraine are very much participating in receiving programs. I would encourage all of you to also contribute and offer programs. And this is also a good way to start more collaborative relationship with other broadcasters. And of course, I mean, I know that Stefan is interested in a specific area for the for minorities, different kind of minorities. But this is a very important part of public service media remit, because as we all know, public service media have to serve all groups in the society, and have actually to bring this sense of solidarity, understanding, tolerance, and especially now in the time of COVID, more than ever, we need actually to look at the others, to look at disabled, to help them, to look at people who maybe do not speak our languages or may not even read. I mean, we have to be compassionate and to serve really all segments in society.
Anybody of the panelists who wants to have a last word and answer and add to Radka? If not, then I would say thank you all, Armen, Murat, Giorgi, Vladislav, Radka, thank you so much for your time. I know we all have to go back to work now, but please don't forget us, don't forget ADAMI, don't forget the chance to really send something and keep it for the future. Exactly what you have been doing in the last weeks or months. We are really looking forward to the works. And this format, ADAMI Focus, it's a new format that we did, and we are doing it always on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Usually it's just for an hour, and it's just one person talking. So we had the literature laureate Svetlana last week, for example, which was really interesting for Belarus. Or we had the former Georgian president in a talk, always about the cultural diversity issue, and it's always on Tuesday afternoon. So in case you have a break, and sometimes you need to break in your daily routine, maybe that's a nice idea to exchange views over the Zoom format or some kind of video format. Thank you for your time. I really hope that you all put your countries through the crisis and that we can see each other hopefully on December 10th in Tbilisi with very interesting projects.
Hopefully to see you. Thanks. Thank you.
До свидания. До встречи.
До свидания.
And thanks to everybody who listened to it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
До свидания, До свидания.